And we are live. All right, you can go ahead and start it.
Live action.
If you want to start this week.
All right, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Metcon.
Welcome.
Maddie, how we doing today?
Oh, pretty good, dude. Pretty good.
Good, man.
Yeah.
Another week of the Open is done.
Yeah.
And we're...
You predicted heavy barbell, and that did not happen.
No, I think that was more wishful thinking.
Yeah.
I guess I've got in the next hour or so, or announce a number 3, and then we'll be able to do a recap on how that went. I think at some point.
Complain a little bit about how.
Yeah, I think we've got a couple people in the gym that'll be doing the 10%, which would be cool. We could make a fun environment to cheer those people on. And it's a good time.
I know. I thought about on that, like how to handle that. Like, should we? I'll probably end up doing it anyway. Just program it for Fridays anyway, unless it's something like ultra technical or
super stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Or something that's not doable for class in the sense of like the structure or something like that. But yeah, if it's something ridiculous or whatever, we can come up with something like where we're going to do it outside the class. Then I think that'd be cool,
fun for sure.
But
there's some opportunities there.
Yeah, you said your prediction is thrusters and pull-ups.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty. My prediction is pretty predictable.
Yeah,
based on the way Dave Castro moves lately.
Previous.
Hope I'm wrong.
Yeah,
chest to bar and thrusters is what I'm thinking they're going to say, and we're all going to die. So.
Yeah, I think it's going to be some kind of a gotta earn it type thing. Like gotta earn to get to a certain point to separate the people that have made it up to this point that they're really good bodyweight ninjas. Maybe I don't know. We'll find out.
Who knows? Who knows what he's got up his sleeve? But today, we want to kind of give you guys more insight on just like us and make it a little bit more of a lighter interaction. Yeah. So we are going to actually start with digging into a few of our top kind of CrossFit moments as individual athletes in the gym during our journey, because ultimately we want to start learning more about you guys. Yep. And I think this paves a great way for us to learn more about you and some of your favorite moments as you're getting into your journey. Yeah,
because that's something that's we tend to forget as we work out, is that this is something that even though we will do this for a long time, it's something that it's still at the end of the day, like there's certain moments you'll remember, like you've brought up some that just kind of in random passing, like a lot of your firsts, or what has still blown me away is, I've kind of mentioned this the other day, is that there's so many of you guys that do CrossFit today at our gym that don't know it outside of COVID times. Right. You don't know it out of like the 15 people capped class. Mm-hmm. If you don't know like what it's like to be in a class of 60, it's
good times.
It's great times, and somehow still no one died. I don't know.
No.
But yeah, it like blows my mind to think that like the gatherings and stuff we used to do, the large classes on Saturdays. Remember, like back in the day on Saturdays, it'd be like 20 people at the interval class, and then like 30 people each class, 8:30, 9:30.
People in the parking lot. It was
spilling out. It was
good time.
Great times, good times.
Someday
we'll be back to that.
Right,
please. But no, so it's I think this was a good idea by you on the subject, just because there are a lot of people that don't understand outside of kind of just COVID times,
right? Absolutely,
social distancing and all that shit going on within the gym. So I think this is going to be great. I think I personally have a couple. I think I have a little more broad moments outside of individually stuff than you, just because I've been coaching for freaking ever.
Let's hear it. I love it.
But I think it'd be cool to kind of talk about us personally, not necessarily get that out of the way, but because I know that's kind of fresh on the mind right now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about some.
Yeah. So
what has been like? Do you have an all time favorite moment?
I've got a few. So and some of them come with some humor too, which is great.
That's the best part.
But when I started, the main thing I wanted to learn was double unders, and it was like, because that felt like it was the most, and we've mentioned this, the most frequently programmed movement that just wasn't clicking, right? And I think it was, if you're super, super efficient at single unders, like there's Kenny. Do you remember Kenny?
Kenny.
Who was like a single under ninja?
Yeah, he would fly through them.
Yeah, but like at that point, you're never going to learn double unders because you're just so you're just so tuned into singles. So anyway, I was working out before I came to CrossFit, and I was, great at single unders, and it was not translating at all. So I remember, same thing, buying my own rope, practicing a ton, whipping the shit out of myself. And
Mate, was just talking about that the other day.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Like lines all over your arms.
Yeah, so bad. So like taking it on trips, doing it, at home, doing it in the gym, practicing, trying to figure it out. And some days you'd get a couple, other days you'd get zero. And I remember a specific time going to Liberty Park with Courtney, my wife, and taking my rope with me. She was like, I'm going to sit and read. I'm like, I'm going to try to learn double unders. And it was horrible. Like it was, I'm just out here like looking like a fool, trying to hide places so people don't like see me just looking like a complete ass. And like I had one of the coated cables totally just like ripped it to shit for how long I was out there
on concrete
trying to figure it out. And over then the next couple weeks, I realized that the rope I had was just too fast, and I was like, I need something slower. Like I'm not
need something a little more weight
good
to
enough.
It. Yeah.
And as soon as I did that, it clicked because I could feel the rope and I could hear it and I could see it like in front of me.
Gotcha.
And it was from that moment on, it was like double unders haven't been an issue since.
Yeah.
Except for one time at mid-workout, like I forgot how to do them. Yeah. Has that ever happened to you? It was like a golf swing. It was like, and even Brittany was there, and I was like, oh my God, I don't remember how to do double unders. Like I couldn't. This like was recently.
It's like really?
Yeah, it was like a couple months ago. I just couldn't remember the rhythm of it. So I stayed after the workout, just like, do I remember how to do these? Because my mind is not like clicking with it.
Like the rhythm of it just wasn't happening.
It was gone. So for me, one of my favorite all-time moments, and this was 5 years ago or whatever, shortly after I started at Ute and put in the time and effort to learn how to do double unders, and I'm grateful for the time and effort I put into it.
I remember when I first started learning double unders, it was my old gym back home when I very first started was it was basically a basketball court, and then there was a little section in the back. If I had to guess, like 12 feet deep by the width of a basketball court, just like you would see in like a rec center or something like that. And it was a batting cage. They tore that out and still had the rubber floor from the batting cage, and they just put up rigs. And I was in the back gym of that basketball gym trying to learn double unders, and I kept whipping the shit out of myself. I remember having the thought, people legitimately can do lots of these,
right?
And I was like, how?
Yeah.
How are people able to do like 100 of these? And I was struggling to get like 3,
right,
or 4. And I wished I had like a video or a picture or something of me trying to. I could see my hands. Right. But yeah, I remember when I first got 20 unbroken. I remember that feeling. Like
going to the CrossFit games.
Going to the CrossFit games this year.
Yeah, no, I'm professional now.
Yeah. I did sets of 20, so you guys can see me on the TV.
You guys can suck it. I'm awesome.
But I remember doing 20. Yeah. But
so how about you? What you got a moment that stands out?
Yeah, I don't really have like a top moment about like you. I've got a couple, but I remember at when I got my L1. So when I very, very first started CrossFit, I was in a Globo gym. I was just in like a regular gym. It was called Nautilus. It was back home. Any of my friends from back home, if you guys are listening to this at all, you'll know the gym. They have in the top of the gym, there's these giant steel beams. It's just like a normal like warehouse,
right.
you know. And I remember asking the owner, I was like, "Hey, if I buy my own rings, can I hang them from them?" And he was like, "What do you need rings for?"
Right.
Because it's like a bodybuilding gym. Yeah. You don't do that kind of stuff. So I bought my first pair of rings and I hung them over the straps. And I remember I was trying to learn dips, and I was like, doing like everybody else. And I'd practiced a few days, and I finally got it down to where I could be stable. And I remember these guys came over and they were like, "Oh yeah, you struggling with dips?" Like trying to make fun of me. And I was like, "Bro, hop up there and do one."
Right.
No one could even do one.
Yeah,
and they're like, "That's stupid." So I practiced with the rings there, but I didn't practice muscle ups. I just practiced dips and stuff. So whenever I went to work at my old gym that I coached at, our rig was only 8 foot high. So like if you guys go in the gym now, like we have those tall uprights that have the rings hanging off the side.
Yep.
It was not those. It was the shorter ones like in the back of the room.
Okay.
And that was our two freestanding was that, because the 12 or 15 foot pole or whatever wasn't a normal thing back in 2012.
Gotcha.
It wasn't like, I mean, gyms had it obviously because people did ring muscle ups, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But like our ceiling, I think, was a basketball gym height. So what was that, like 40 feet, 30 feet?
The basketball,
like a basketball,
the actual ceiling.
Yeah, exactly. The ceiling of a basketball gym.
Right.
That's how tall it was.
Oh
so
my
it's
God.
not we could just strap it from the ceiling.
Yeah,
and I actually bought straps because I was going to hang it from the ceiling.
Right.
I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get up there, but I'm going to make it happen.
Try,
and my old boss used to be like, dude, just fucking stop. And I'm like, no, I'm going to do this. I was like, I'll get chains. And I was like, he was like, just stop.
Yeah.
So he ended up ordering these 12-foot uprights. And then I used regular pull-up bars, like the double pull-up bars on there, hung the rings from it. And I couldn't really, if you, like I had used like a box or something like that and jumped up into the muscle up. And when I pressed out into the dip, the bar was in like the back of my neck.
Oh, jeez.
So it was like, I was like, okay, cool. If I get a ring muscle up, I'm going to have to modify and like,
not kill yourself.
Put my chin in my chin, you know. So I went and took my L1. And in the L1, if you remember, you went over ring muscle ups.
Yep.
And I remember, so one of the scaled versions or one of the versions is sitting down on the floor and you can let your feet drag to help you or try to do like an L sit basically.
Yep.
And I was like so close to doing a ring muscle up. I mean, I was a hair away from getting it.
Just getting far enough.
So close to doing a strict ring muscle up. And the guy was like, man, you're going to get this within the next month or two. I was like, freaking sweet.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Games, here I come.
Right.
You know? No, but I was so stoked for that. And then when I went back to the gym, we got all that stuff set up. I remember they told me that they, you know, learn the strict before you do the kipping and all that stuff. And I was like, man, if I almost had the strict, I should be able to get the kipping. But I was like, I'll go ahead and keep practicing this. So I practiced for like another month, never got it.
Oh boy.
Then I was in the back by myself. No one else was in there. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go for the kipping one.
Yeah.
So I just swung, and I landed on top of the rings. And I was like, what? You know, I was like, what?
I did it.
I looked around. No one was in the
Somebody
gym.
get a phone.
No one was in the basketball gym. No one was in the CrossFit area.
Right.
It was just me, just like screaming. And I literally said to myself, I just screamed like, whoa, until I was like, I'm going to keep doing that until someone sees me on top of the ring,
like
shaking. Yeah. Just like, come on. You know, I was like, come on, guys, come and look, you know. And finally, I don't remember, someone came in and was like, oh, good job. And then walked off. I was like, whatever.
Yeah, way to go.
But that was like my first ring muscle up. And I was like, holy crap, I did it.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a good moment.
Because no one else at our gym could do them.
Right.
And I was like, I'm the first. I'm the best. You know.
Yeah, oh, you're the best.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I remember that moment. Like I was in the back of the room by myself, just screaming at the top of my lungs. No one could hear me.
Right.
Yeah, that was a fun moment.
Those are cool moments. I think in kind of our sport or our fitness space is those first of the ring muscle ups, the bar muscle ups, the first pull up. You know, those are the type of things that I feel like the open is missing right now is those opportunities to have those celebrations.
I was literally just having this conversation with JP a couple nights ago. Yeah. And I think what it is it's not necessarily like a lack of creativity or anything on CrossFit's part. I think, honest to God, I love that they're doing this because I really feel like it's creating this all-inclusive. It is CrossFit, infinitely scalable. Anyone can do this, all those things. But having a scaled division in the CrossFit Open creates an instant out.
Right.
Because there's nothing wrong with doing scaled. Nothing wrong. I scale stuff all the time.
Yep.
And I think it's awesome that there's a scaled leaderboard because now you don't feel bad for having to scale it. Like, oh, I'll just do the scaled version and I can still submit a score, all these different things. That's so great.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I remember, I think it was like 2016 was the first year. I can't remember that they started doing the scale division. But I remember before then, it was just like RX, here you go.
Right.
And I remember those days because it was, all right, we're that one workout, I think it was 2015, maybe 2014. It started with 7 ring muscle ups.
Yeah.
That was
so people were just out.
Pissed. Yeah. And they did have a scaled version of that. I remember because it was 7 ring muscle ups, I think 90 wall balls or something like that. And then like 120 double unders.
Okay.
Or something like that.
Right.
It was like that rep scheme for like 12 minutes. And the scaled version was single unders and wall balls, and that's it.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That's not the same.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Everybody that did the scaled version was like, that was so much harder than the RX because the muscle ups you at least get to slow down.
Right.
if you can't do 7 unbroken or whatever, then you just
there's a built-in rest.
Exactly.
For a
that would had none. Jeez. So, but I remember prior to that, like people would be like, all right, well, I guess I'll just attempt a muscle up for the next 12 minutes.
Right.
And it was like people would get their first one or get their first pull up or get their first double under, because it was like the one workout started with double unders. It was like double unders and snatches with like a 75-pound bar, 55 for the women. And it was like, okay, well, you've got to get to these double unders. So you spent 8-10 minutes just trying double unders. And people would get their first one.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the Open has missed a lot of that firsts that we used to see all the time. It would be like, well, it's the time to go for it.
Yep.
But now it's like with the single unders and people in the gym, like, I can't do it. So I'm just going to opt to singles.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's, I think it's definitely a mix of the way that the workouts have been programmed. It's like you've mentioned, there's the scaled option is awesome. And I think that it opens the door and is a gateway for a lot of people. But the opportunity to still create those moments and try things RX are still there. Regardless of the hype of Friday Night Lights or whatever exists or not, we will always encourage you to, especially in an open workout, try it RX.
Yeah.
Try to get as far as you possibly can. And if you get to the point where you're just frustrated, then adjust from there. But we'll always encourage you guys to, try RX things and get those moments.
Yeah. And then most of the time, like I've been asked this numerous times, like, hey, I'm having to scale this. Should I just scale the whole workout? Because they give a whole prescription of scaled.
Right.
And it's like, no. I always tell them, like, I've heard this, I've heard otherwise, like, or I've heard people say like, scale everything. If it says do singles, but you can do double unders, just do singles.
Right.
But because you can't do the weight, still do singles. It's like, no. In my mind, I'm like, just treat this as another class workout. You would normally RX this, but scale that, do that.
Right.
I feel like that's a lot better, because at the end of the day, it is just a workout.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I feel like that's like one of my top moments for, I don't know. Remember the first time I did Murph?
Oh yeah.
I think it took me an hour and 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Right.
Yeah. And I was like, I wore a vest, but it was the first time I ever did Murph. Had to wear a vest.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Got RX it.
Can't do it without a vest.
That's right. And there's a picture of me. It's like I'm just straight. I remember it was rainy back home. It was like super muggy. So it was probably like, 100% humidity. It was garbage.
Oh boy.
Like 8 degrees. Felt like 115.
Oh goodness.
But no, I think about those moments, like, I don't know, like, I have a couple more. Handstand walking comes to mind.
Yep.
Snatching. I've got a bunch of those moments.
Oh, I'm sure. And you're still getting moments in those.
Yeah. I remember the first time. So I don't know about you, but like, because like I've talked to people and they're like, I don't remember the first time I did, X weight at whatever. Or I don't remember that when I did this, because I always try to remind people, like, hey, remember you couldn't snatch 100 pounds and now you're doing 125 as a female. Like, that's awesome. Like, you're doing great. I remember the first time I snatched 185. I remember the first time I snatched 190, 195, 200. I remember where I was at my sister's gym in Paris, Texas, and I snatched 200 pounds there. The first time I snatched 225, I got a video of it, and it's great. It's great.
Gold.
I literally ran across the gym with the bar overhead.
Was this at the new gym?
No, this was at back home at my old gym. We had security cameras, so I was able to pull up the security footage and record
check
that.
It out. Yeah.
So I had been stuck at like 215 or 220 or something like that for probably like 6 or 7 months, and I had just closely failed 225 so many times. I mean, so many times. So this time it was late at night. It was probably like, I think it was like 7 or 7:30 for some reason back then. That's when I worked out. It was later.
Yeah.
And I had snatched it, got under it. It went forward, and I was like, I'm not failing this. Yeah. So I stood up, and my hips shot straight up, and I literally ran, I think, probably 15 feet.
Oh, my goodness.
And the bar, my arms bent, and you see me press it back overhead. Yeah. And there's a group of people that are my friends or whatever. They're just there hanging out. They're all facing away from me, talking to each other. And I'm like, hey. And I'm literally sprinting at them. And you just see them just run like ants. Sure. Just like, boom.
That bar's just coming
and I'm
right
like,
at
I pressed over, and then I bar slam it, and then jump in the air, and I'm all excited.
Oh, that's awesome.
Dude, it's great. I got it on video.
Yeah, you may have to like figure out a way to put a link in this
video
so
I will.
people can see that.
Because That one's pretty funny. I
Right.
mean, I don't know. There's no sound to it. All you just see me just like go under, dive at everybody.
Yeah.
Press it, bar slam, run around. Like, it's pretty funny.
We know your yell well enough
Yeah,
that we can
exactly,
just assume that noise is happening.
But yeah, that's a good one. That was a pretty big moment for me. It was getting that 225 because those 2 plates, man.
Oh yeah,
something about it.
I can deadlift that.
Yeah,
does that work?
You can deadlift way more than that.
But one of my moments actually, when you were talking about muscle ups in the open, is I remember when I first started CrossFit, it was like a January, I think 2017 was my first open.
Okay.
And the first one was 17. Oh yeah, that's right. Because it was 17.1.
Okay.
I was like, nice, I can do this, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't. And then I think the second week was it the second week? Maybe the third week. Either way, it had like the overhead dumbbell lunge and like
bar muscle ups.
Yes, at some point they were like the second part you had to get to was bar muscle ups, and I was like, I don't know how to do that.
Cool.
Like I don't have any idea. I've never even attempted a bar muscle up. I've only been doing this for so long. But I was very much of the mindset of I'm RXing all of these as far as I can until I fail, and then if I spend the next 8 minutes, failing, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'm not going to say his name. I remember who the coach was on Friday Night Lights at the downtown gym. That was like, there's no point in just wasting your time trying to get a muscle up. If you can't do it, it wasn't you guys. It was someone that's no longer there. If you can't do it, just do pull-ups. Like, there's no point in wasting your time. And I was like, I'm going to try the muscle ups. Like, I don't care.
Thanks for the encouragement.
Yep.
Cool.
So when they announced it Thursday, that next Friday afternoon, I went into the downtown gym, and Sanan was coaching. And I was like, will you teach me how to do a bar muscle up? and he was like, well, I can give you some drills.
Yeah.
So he like hooked me up with some bands, and like, he's like, well, the first thing you got to do is like get comfortable with being on top of the bar. So I was doing like box,
like
bar
jumping.
muscles. I'm doing literally like years worth of progressions in like
one
an
session.
hour.
Yeah.
And ripped my hands, and I'm like, okay, well,
Perfect.
I'm gonna come back tonight and give it a go. And so, because I just wanted to learn that hour,
right? That's
and
what
so
everybody does.
So we came back because that's when I think the Friday Night Lights would like shift between gyms, and it was there. And I was like the last heat. Do you remember Intech?
Yeah,
Intech was my judge.
Yeah. Whole Intech.
And I probably had a significant amount of the workout left in time wise, and just kept crushing my sternum, just like on this bar.
Aggressive chest to
Oh,
bars.
it was so bad. And there was another guy next to me who was also trying to do the same thing, and it was essentially becoming a race to who would get
their first one.
Yeah. And because the more you kind of do that, the more you can kind of feel it, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
And finally, at some point, one arm got over top, and it was that like hang on for dear life, like bring the other one over top. And I think I ended up getting 3. That right? So like I was hoping to get 1, and I ended up getting 3. Horrible form, left not knowing what I had done, right? Like I'm like I wouldn't be able to replicate it tomorrow because it was just all of adrenaline and but that was a pretty cool moment.
That's
for
cool.
Sure.
Yeah, it's that moment when you get one elbow over and you're like, oh, I'm on top.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, here we go. And you start like kicking your legs all funny,
You're like, I don't care. I am not letting go until I get this other arm up.
Dude, that's so funny.
So, yeah, that was a cool moment.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I try to think of like competitions and stuff like that. Like I've hit PRs at comps probably more than I have in the gym, to be honest, on like lifts and stuff. I think lifting PRs is kind of like more. That's always because I remember for whatever reason, I was like, I'm going to see how far I can walk on my hands. And I walked the length of the gym, kick down, and immediately kick back up. And walk the other half.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that was cool. I mean, it took me a little bit to kind of get that, but that was a cool moment. But
I had a cool moment learning how to handstand walk too. And it was Jake Mondor, shout out Jake Mondor, who literally his cue was like, let your heels go further forward than you think they should.
Yeah.
And I was like, immediately it clicked. Because up until that point, it was just like kick up, fall down, kick up, and never falling the right direction.
Right.
It was like fall back to where I just was. And it was for whatever reason, that cue for me was like I could feel my heels pull me in the right direction, and it's taken time to like kind of fine tune it, so I'm like not just walking all over the place.
Right.
But that was a great cue, and it's my favorite thing to do, just because it feels like there's very few opportunities to handstand walk. So when that pops up, it's fun to be able to do.
Right. Yeah. That is interesting. Yeah, I've used a cue similar to that, to where it's kind of like you let your weight go into your fingers, kind of like when you walk forward, you don't walk on your heels backwards, you walk kind of leaning forward. So the same thing on your handstands, like you kind of need to lean over just like you would walk on, I don't know, normal.
Right.
That's pretty cool. I like the idea of letting your heels lead you.
Right.
But yeah, I try to think of some more individual moments, but I wanted to talk about like some gym moments. Like it's interesting thinking about my old gym, and I know I randomly bring it up, but I remember it was the first time I ever coached a big class. So at my old gym, we didn't have Saturday classes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had Monday, because it was just like a wellness center. So it was just, we did Monday through Friday classes only. Saturday was it wasn't like we have open gym here at our gym, but it was kind of like that. But the hours, I believe, it was like 8 to 2, and then Sunday was 2 to 10, but then it just stayed open because it was 24/7, except for that time period between Saturday at 2 to Sunday at 2. But I remember reading or hearing or seeing or something about how gyms work out on Saturdays and have Saturday classes, and I was like, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
What if we were to do that?
Right.
I was like, what if we were to do like team workouts on Saturday?
R.I.P.
Like, that, right? Yeah.
Darn it.
Darn. But I was like, what if we were to do team workouts on Saturday? Because that would be fun. And so I was like, kind of put feelers out throughout the week. I was like, hey guys, if I show up on Saturday at like 10, will you guys show up? And I had a few yeses. And I remember the first time I think we had like 10 or 12 people show up, and I was like, oh, that was fun. And this was my creative days. So I had never made up a team workout. I had never done anything like that. So when everybody showed up, I was like, oh, okay, well, we're going to learn how to do this real quick.
Right.
So I started making up workouts, and I remember I wanted to do sled pushes, and for myself personally, like the week prior. So what I did is I set 45s. I think it was 3 or 4 45s on a towel.
Oh, boy.
And I wrapped the towel around the plates, and I set it on the gym floor, because it's like a basketball gym floor. And I would shove that across the floor. It sucked.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then I would put like the straps that you would use for the rings.
Yeah.
I put a strap through that, and then I looped it real big.
So you could pull it.
So I could put it on me, and I could pull it. So I figured out how to do that. I was like, what if I did that with a ton more weight and made it a team version?
Yeah.
So I did that with the class.
You're like a CrossFit MacGyver.
Dude, I'm telling you, I need a Carlos in his warm-ups.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a whole like, here, hold my beer type situation.
It very much was. And sometimes it would not work. I'm like, okay, scrap that. Not doing that. A lot of times the plates would fall over and like almost put a dent in the floor, and I'm like, that's an expensive fix.
Yeah,
so
don't do that.
But I remember by the end of them, like they got so out of hand. Like people were literally cherry picking during the week and then not doing shit during the week to save it all for the weekend workouts, because that's how much fun they were.
Yeah.
And I remember we had, I think it was like 40-something people show up, 50-something people show up by the end of it. And I'd have to be like, all right, half is on the basketball gym, the other half is going to be running, while the rest is going to be, it was like, holy hell, like we're trying to figure out. So I think that's where I learned how to like navigate and try to get so many people.
Use your space.
But I remember the probably like the old Saturdays, man. The old Saturday WODs at the gym were so much fun. And we randomly, you brought it up right before the podcast, was the Cinco de Drinko.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, Cinco de Mayo workouts were fun.
Yeah.
And then the last one that we had with Gabby,
it was so bad.
Gabby, Yvonne, her and her husband Yvonne, they were making.
So it would have been 2019, I think. Cinco de Mayo.
Was it 19?
Yeah, wasn't. I don't think it was this past 2020.
Definitely wasn't 20. Yeah. We didn't do anything this year.
Right.
Like all holidays were none
canceled.
But yeah, I think it was 2019, and Gabby and her husband were making margaritas. And we had we did the team. Was it this last year we did the team carry?
I don't know.
Do you remember that?
I don't.
Oh, man, that one was terrible.
So that might have been 2 years.
The workout
3 years ago.
Maybe the workout ended with a partner 800-meter carry.
Oh, there's a picture of that or something somewhere.
And people are like,
yeah, that was 3 years ago.
Was that?
Yeah, because it was me, Nate Enderle, and Andrew. And it's like, pick your poison.
And it was
Who
me,
you carrying?
Britt, and Nick. And Britt carried me.
Yeah.
My feet were dragging the ground.
That's right.
But yeah, that was a fun, like those are the kind of moments like in the gym that really get me excited. Like I remember I have a video of it. I'll have to post it. I remember I'll randomly do this, and I don't know if you do it or not, but like I'll take a step back and just like look, and I'm like, holy hell, there's like so many people in this room right now, and everybody's working.
Right.
You know what I mean? No one's like complaining. No one's like trying to get out of it. Like everybody here showed up. They knew what they're getting into, and they all worked so hard.
Yep.
And that's just those moments is what makes me excited and happy to do what we do.
Right. And those moments are slowly but surely going to start coming back. I mean, I think we're starting to see more people kind of in the gym and being more comfortable being around other people. And so I think those big Saturdays and extra holiday type workouts are coming back.
I hope
which is
so,
good.
I really miss those so much.
Oh, you and me both, man.
I miss the team workouts because those are so much fun. Like you knew what you're getting into. Like you'd come at 8:30 or 9:30 and be like, okay, well, it's a team workout. I'm gonna partner up with someone.
Yeah, we look forward to Tuesdays too.
Yeah,
because we know as we're partnering, it's like this is great. Because sometimes you want that, like, I don't have to do this all by myself today.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah. And I remember Tommy started those team-wide Tuesdays years ago. And I remember when I took over the program, and he's like, every Tuesday and Saturday, I try to make those team workouts. You cool with that? And I was like, yes.
Definitely.
Most definitely. Like we just got 2 more ski ergs, so I'm hoping that we can bring back using those more because we used to use those every week, all the time.
Yeah, I remember that.
I love ski ergs. But no, I think that's like those are some of my top moments. Do you have any like in a gym? Like it doesn't even have to be Ute. It could be any gym. Do you have any kind of like that was a cool moment and you talk about it?
Yeah, I mean it was one of my favorite moments was actually that Granite Games spring throwdown. So it was the last thing we did before COVID hit. It was literally the Saturday before everything shut down. So we had a number of teams. I mean, I was on a team, you were on a team, Britt was on a team, Yulia had a team, Jill had I mean, there was all we had a pack of Ute CrossFit people, and we like took over a corner of just space, and it was like, wow, this is really cool. And we were even like talking to people that were signed up as a Ute team that we didn't even necessarily at that point I didn't even necessarily know went to Ute. So that was pretty incredible to then see us cheer each other on and support each other in a function that was outside of our comfort zone of our own gym.
Yeah, and even though like we kind of took over that corner and all that stuff, like we were still nice to other people.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? It was like because it wasn't just all the teams; it was like all the people that came with the teams that like doubled up on that, and we were still cheering for other people. And I'd be like, "Hey, that's so and so. They used to go to here."
Yeah,
and everybody would start cheering for them, and it was just like, "This is awesome."
Right.
Yeah, we do that randomly at the SLC comps. Britt, whenever they did the girls.
Oh, right.
The Girls Gone RX workout or whatever. That was fun. We had like a good mob of
good
CrossFitters. Yeah, it's just like, that was a really fun competition because it was me, Nate Herkimer, and Nick, and then you, Nate, and Andrew. Yep. It was kind of like we were like,
you guys got first, we got second.
But it was back and forth the whole time until the last workout.
That was really fun.
Yeah, it was fun because that was exciting because it was like even though you were like we were competing against each other, we were still like cheering each other on. And
like it wasn't that serious. I mean, it was a competition, but it wasn't like we're here to win. Like, you're gonna get a gift card, and I'm not. Like, oh no.
Yeah. I already got the T-shirt. That's all that matters.
I have a funny moment actually.
Really?
So, and you may not think it's funny, but when you and I and Jake Mondor did the winter Granite Games Throwdown, it was the very first workout that we won. Remember, it was like chest to bar, synchro chest to bar, and then like ascending weight squat cleans.
Oh yes, so I remember that.
So like the way that the rep scheme worked is I think it got like less in the squat clean, but the weight went up until you hit a certain point, and then it was like max squat cleans at 275.
Yep.
So with the remaining time, so like there was something happened in the rep scheme.
I think it was just max cleans. You could squat or power.
No, squat. Because I was squatting and I wouldn't have squatted. So there was something that happened that from 225 to 275, you did not touch the bar.
Nope.
And then it got to the point where it was time to just do the squat clean 275 when Jake and I had like ascended a little bit.
I remember that.
And you go to pick it up and you're like, all right. And you just got buried by this 275.
Buried.
Which you wouldn't have. And it wasn't until after you're like, guys, I didn't even touch anything between 275 and 275.
Yeah, because the pull-ups, I think, were they 30 or 20?
It was a
each
lot.
round.
And you did
I think it was 30 each round, and I think we had to do – it was like 4 rounds of them or 5 rounds. I can't remember it. And I did 15 with you and 15 with Jake.
Yep.
And I did that every round. And then when we did the bar, I was like, I'm going to hit a couple just to warm up. And, yeah, when we got to the 205 bar, I did one. And then didn't touch the bar again until 275.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how wore out my lats and my arms were. So I went to pull. I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
And when I caught, it was like the belt. We like created this awkward position. So when I caught, it just like shot me backwards.
Right.
So I was like, and I landed on my butt real stiff. I was like, okay, well, all right.
Get out. You're out.
I'm embarrassed to tag in. And then and then Jake busted 5 in a row,
Like
touch and go. I was like, oh, okay, cool, Jake. That's fine. I'll just go over here and cry.
Yeah. So that was a pretty funny moment. And again, I didn't even realize that we had put you in that position until after the workout.
Dude, speaking of that, the Granite game one's the next one. I remember it was the workout was a chipper. It was like, I think it was pull-ups, something, rowing, dumbbell snatches, maybe burpees over the rower. I don't think it was dumbbell.
Okay.
It was toes to bar, pull-ups maybe.
Oh, shoulder to overhead maybe too?
No, because that was like the big number. That was
right.
the pull-up. That was, yeah, you're right. So it was like toes to bar, rowing, burpees over the rower, and something else. And I remember like we had a game plan, me, Nate, and Nick, and I like got in the zone and I was doing burpees and I was only supposed to do like 3 and I ended up doing like 8. And they're like, what are you doing? And I finally realized it and snapped out. I was like, oh, okay, crap. And like it messed up. And I remember someone coming up to me, they're like, did y'all have a game plan going to that? And I was like, yeah, we did. We just kind of ruined it. And,
I just skipped it
a lot. Right. And they're like, yeah, you guys looked like you had no idea what was going on. That's most funny. Unorganized team. Like you guys were just all over the place. And he's like, y'all are flopping. Like it was like front squats with the dumbbells. And Nick kept getting no reps.
That's right.
Because like the way he held his dumbbells was he held them over like kind of over his back. And the guy was trying to tell him it was front rack, so he had to hold the entire dumbbell in front of his chest. Like in a way that you wouldn't hold it normally. And the guy kept no repping.
A very unnatural movement.
Very unnatural. And he kept no repping Nick. And he was just like, what am I doing? And my goal was to not do any of those squats.
Yeah.
And I ended up having to do some. And I was like, I don't
not happy. Yeah.
No, so that was another moment that I was like, after we stepped away, we were like, oh my God.
What did we do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like we did well in the workout, but it was just kind of like, okay, cluster. That was not good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other like competition moments that are funny because I've had a lot.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to, I really genuinely enjoy CrossFit as a sport outside of what we do, just for our fitness. So I enjoy watching, the Rogue Invitational or the CrossFit Games when they're on, but I've actually had the opportunity to, I think I've gone to the CrossFit Games 3 times to watch. Awesome. One time in California, twice in Madison, and then gone to Wadapalooza twice. So I actually really enjoy those moments. But one of my favorite moments was actually so it would have been 2019 going to the games when Noah Olson was in first place for a little bit. Mm-hmm. He and Fraser were going back and forth, and it is it Nancy that they did?
The pull-up, handstand, push-up. Yeah. That one's a
20-minute AMRAP, which...
It's not Nancy. That one's overhead squats and running.
Yeah, so it's pistols, handstand push-ups, and pull-ups.
Because Cindy is the regular one, and then I think it starts with a C. Holy guacamole. Keep talking about it. I'll look it up.
Yeah, so anyway, and it's a 20-minute AMRAP. So everyone's like, oh, this is going to be so boring. There's never been an AMRAP programmed. It was one of the coolest moments I've ever witnessed as a
You mean like at the very end whenever they started getting super close to each
other?
Yeah, so
like and because in person you can actually see them moving down the floor, where like if you're watching on a screen you couldn't see that. So like in those 20 minutes you actually had a very good idea of where everyone was at.
Because they had like the kind of progressive numbers on the
right. So I think it was 5 handstand push-ups. Well, it was 5 handstand push-ups,
10
pistols,
10 pistols, 15 chest to
15 chest to bar.
Was it chest to bar?
Yeah.
No, it was just 15 regular pull-ups. I'm staring at it right now. I'm just trying to see which one it is. Not Candy, Chelsea, Cindy.
But I think what it was like every 5 rounds you would then move your way down the floor. So you had a good idea of where people were at, and once it got down to those last few minutes, Mary, that's it. Once it got down to those last few minutes, you've got a full arena full of people on their feet, just screaming, right?
Yeah.
Like the most electric feeling with, CrossFit's so good about like DJs and music and that kind of stuff, that it was literally, I got chills from like watching people work out. But those, if you are someone who enjoys watching fitness, professional exercisers, those are the moments that are like, okay,
that are huge.
I want to keep doing this because this is cool.
I remember like one of the moments for me was watching. There's a bunch, but one of the moments for me was watching. Obviously, I've never been to the games. I've always wanted to go. I've never been to them at all. Like it's just something. I've never been to like Wadapalooza either. Like I've always wanted to go to that.
If you're
like,
gonna go to one, that's the one.
Yeah, that's what you've said. It's like I've heard that from other people too. It's way more like, I guess, spectator friendly in the sense of like making you feel like you're a part of everything, as opposed to like in the games you're so far away from everybody and those things.
There's just more going on, right? And like usually it's in February in Miami, so you're ready to get out of cold,
right? And
you go and the sun's shining, it's right on the water, and all of the events are outdoors. So like
that's super
if you
cool
get a ticket in, you're in. You know what I mean? It's not like you need this ticket to go outside, you need this ticket to go inside. Like the games, it's like once you're in, you're in.
But I remember it was the 21-15 non-complex competition or workout, and it was Rich Froning. He was not doing well that year. It was like everybody's like, "Oh, is Froning going to get beat?" I believe it might have been his last year. And
so 2015, right?
Yeah, I think it was 2015. Yeah. I can't remember exactly when it was.
Maybe 24. No, it was 2014.
Was it 14?
Yeah,
was that
Ben
one?
Smith won in 2015. Yeah.
Yeah. So the workout was the 21-15 non-complex, and it was basically you had to do 8 reps of 8 deadlifts, 7 cleans, 6 snatches. Then the 15 was 6-5-4, and then the 9 was 4-3-2, and then the pull up. So you did that with a barbell, and then you went 8-7-6 on the barbell, and then you went 8-7-6 on the pull up bar, but it was pull-ups, chest to bar, bar muscle ups. And it was like that all the way down.
Yeah.
And I guess that was whenever Froning was training with Hobart a lot, and he come out. Hobart was in like the first heat, and then Froning come out to the last heat, and he goes, "Hey, go harder than you think you should."
Yeah.
And obviously we didn't know as a spectator, but I remember watching Froning just like mop everybody up. It was just like he was just like in a different league. It's like watching Frazier now with everybody. Right. It's like he was just in a different league. Like he finished way ahead of everybody. Right. And it was like, holy shit, like that guy, there's Rich Froning. Yeah. I remember that moment. It was like the turning moment for the games, because it was like Froning's probably not going to do it this year.
He was kind of down in the pack. And
bad, because it was just like he had a bad event after bad event. And then that one, he just came out and just like mopped the floor. I remember that event was like super, super cool watching. One of the events I hear a lot about is Tommy at the games a couple years, like their first, I think it might have been their first or second year to win.
Okay.
Have you heard about him doing Karen Unbroken? So whatever the year it was, the team, it was teams of 6, and each team member had to go through a girl. And it was like Fran, Diane, then it was like the next person did this, and it ended with Karen. And Tommy's like, "I'll just do Karen." And when he got there, I can't remember how many he was behind, but
Karen is what?
150 wall balls for Tom.
Oh my God.
Yeah, right.
Karen, you dirty.
Yeah, dirty. No, that's why no one likes Karen.
Yeah. Oh, that makes so much more sense now.
But that's where it all started, was CrossFit.
Yikes.
But yeah, so he stepped up, and he was, I think the closest person was like 10 or 15, maybe even 20 wall balls deep whenever he started, and he just went unbroken. he was like one of the first, like, holy crap, you can do that unbroken.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was a huge moment. And like, to this day, I still hear people come in and they'll say, like, picture Tommy, like, man, I remember when he went unbroken that year. It was a wild, because they needed to win that workout in order to win the team division that year.
Right.
And since he stepped up and just did that unbroken, he was able to like pull the team for a win.
Yeah.
So everybody was like, that was a huge moment. But when I think about the games, I think about stuff like that.
Right.
Like,
yeah. So I went to regionals.
Was the one here in Salt Lake a couple
I've been
years
to
back?
regionals a couple times, but I don't actually think. No, I did. I saw my brother-in-law, who was on Hacks Pack. I think I think their last year he was with
them.
Yeah, before he went individual. And talk about, if you ever want to just like look at old footage, talk about some fit individuals, were those teams that Tommy put together.
Dude.
That's unreal.
Yeah, that was like one of the first super teams ever put together.
And I think if they go out and like decided to train again, they'd be right back up there.
Yes, 100%.
And not that they're not training, but like training as to compete as a team.
Yeah. Because I remember like Tommy he went for, I never really followed Adrian just because like I don't know, I didn't see enough of his individual career. Cause I don't know, you may not even know, how many times did he go individual?
Well, he made it to the games once as an individual, and then the next year, I think finished 6th.
Oh, wow.
So missed the individual spot, and then he also had an injury year as well.
Gotcha.
So,
but I remember like Tommy went for, like, I remember I randomly just pull up the games on YouTube. I don't know if you do this.
I'm a weirdo.
But okay, good. Knew I liked you.
Yeah.
But there's the teams had to find like a front squat, like a heavy triple front squat or something like that. And I remember the announcers being like, God, so-and-so they just went for 385 for 3, you know, and it's like, oh, they failed it. And so-and-so just got 375 and so-and-so just got 380. And I remember like the camera panned by Tommy and he had 405 on the bar.
Oh my.
And they were like, and Tommy's got 405, and we have whatever, and I was just like, what? Yeah. Like, how are you just gonna?
That was just like be expected,
and he smoked it, and they were like, yeah, and Hacks Pack with a 405 front squat for 3, and then we have so and so, and they just hit 375 for 3. Oh my God! No. I'm like, are we just gonna act like that didn't happen? But yeah, it's like that team was just unreal. Like those girls, like Tommy was telling me that they hit like their girl minimum requirement was back then. This was a big deal, but the girls had to do 10 unbroken muscle ups.
Yeah.
Like that had to be like in a workout, they had to have that capability. Max set of 15 ring muscle ups or something like that. And then do you remember the red shirt requirements?
Yeah.
They had the elite side of things. And it was like the girls had to be able to do those things in order just to be on their team.
Goodness.
I was like, oh my God, like that's impressive.
Yeah.
But I think thinking about like kind of bringing it back to the gym, thinking about like gym stuff, that moments that made me like, wow, this is awesome, was, did you go to the park when we did that park workout? It was like sprinting up the hill.
Oh yeah, and we had to have a partner.
Yeah.
And I think it was
teams of 3.
I think I was with Dayton.
Back when Dayton coached for us.
Yeah, and I shouldn't have been. Because
he went to regionals.
Yeah, he was in way better shape than me.
He still is, than all of us.
Yeah,
and he doesn't even really do CrossFit.
Right, but yeah, go ahead. Stupid. That was fun.
Yeah, that was a fun little workout. It was on a holiday. I can't remember what day.
I want to say it was like a Labor Day.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah, it was something where there's like not a hero workout, and we just kind of wanted to be outside.
Yeah, so I made up like a team workout where we had to do like so many kettlebell swings, goblet squats, run up the hill, burpees, run down, tag your partner.
So bad.
It was run up the hill, burpees. I don't know if I said that, and then run down. But yeah, it was so bad. That hill in Sugar House Park, that was terrible.
That's a steep sledding hill for me.
Yeah,
that's frightening.
Yeah,
to look down.
And now we're gonna sprint up this.
And then run up it.
And I remember Jordan was doing front flips down it. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He would like dive head first and roll. Like, oh, you're an idiot.
Gonna throw up.
Good job, Jordan.
Yeah.
Stupid. But no, but yeah, I remember stuff like that. Those are the fun ones, and how we used to do Murph at Sugar House Park. Like we take the rig there.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
That's a great memory I have. It was the first time I ever did Murph was at Sugar House Park. Showed up, like had no idea what to expect. Didn't have a vest. Mike Swain, who was a regular member at Ute, had an extra vest, and it was one of those that had like the sandbags that would go in the pouches. So I remember like running and those things like popping out all over the place. And that was my first Murph experience. I was like, this is so cool that the weather's beautiful. We're outside. I think there's like mimosas and breakfast after. And you and I actually ran the last
run together.
Last lap together.
I forgot about that.
And I just wanted to walk for the entire time. But
me too. Don't worry.
But no, those are the type of things that I'm like, man, as soon as we get past all this COVID stuff, those are the moments I'm really excited to bring back.
Yeah, because it's such a cool thought. I remember the one year we did. So when I first moved here, I moved here a week before Murph. And Tommy was like, hey, by the way, we do Murph at Sugar House Park. Be at the gym, Saturday morning to load up the plates and all the stuff so we can go set it all up. And I was like, cool, that's fine. That sounds good. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was like all by myself. I knew no one. I kind of knew Tommy just because I'd met him the week before, and I'd been in conversation through email over the past like 6 months sporadically. So I was like, I know no one here. This is okay. And I remember it was James Serby. He was like, hey, like for some reason, me and him just like, hey, you want to be my friend?
Yeah.
Let's be friends.
BFFs.
So he was like, hey, do you want to split this with me? I was like, yeah, sure. So I ran the first mile, and then he was supposed to run the second one. And I was like, man, I feel bad for not running both miles, So I went ahead and ran the second one. But I'd been at elevation for a week and then like did Murph.
Crushed.
And it smashed me in the floor. And then I remember one year at Murph, it was Nick, Jordan, Chris Schmidt that used to come to the gym, and who's the fourth person?
Nick. Is that when you guys did it with the worm?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that
picture. I can't
remember. Maybe Jacob Marsh? Did he do it?
No, it wasn't Marsh.
Oh, it was.
Man, I'll have to look that up. It was me, Nick, Schmidt, and then Jordan Gardner.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, you guys are doing this with me, because Tommy basically dared me. He was like, it'd be cool. A worm Murph. You won't do that. I was like, bro, okay.
Yeah, so how'd you guys do that? I wasn't there that year.
Yeah, it sucked. It was terrible. So we walked the first mile with the worm on our back, and then we did 100 pull-ups, but we did 10 synchro with a partner for the first, like, I do 10, you do 10, that's 10.
Yeah.
All right, so kind of like me and my partner do 10 synchro pull-ups, you and your partner. And the thing was Schmidt didn't know how to do butterfly, so I had to go back to kipping pull-ups. I was like, this sucks, because 10 kipping pull-ups takes like twice as long as the butterfly pull-ups. So then we did, for the push-ups, we did sandbag push press over the shoulder. So we bounced it from one shoulder to the next. We did 100 pull-ups, 200 of those, and then we did 300 sandbag squats. So we do 10 squats with it on one side, throw it over, do 10 squats on the other.
Goodness.
And we did that back and forth, and then we walked the mile again with the sandbag. I think it took us almost 3 hours.
Really?
Yeah, it was not fun.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It was not fun at all.
3 hours is just like...
That's such a long time to exercise.
Not enjoyable. I'm halfway to Vegas in a car in 3 hours.
Yeah, no. We were sweating under a worm.
Yeah.
But no, that was a cool moment just because it's kind of like one of those, like, is this doable? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like when
when
we're walking
Test
the second mile, it was like, we should probably have not done that, but whatever.
But we're done now.
Yeah. It's like those are cool moments. Like personally, like a lot of the moments for me, like as coaching moments, like those are the ones that I really remember. One of my top ones that I remember was I trained this lady back home. Her name was Carol. When she walked in, she come in just to get a body scan at our old gym because that's what her doctor told her to. She was with her husband. She's 70. I think she was 71 or 72 at the time. And she come in on a walker. And she was using that to kind of walk through. I guess she just had like something was going on with her hip or something. So she was just using a walker at the time because typically she didn't use one. And she was like, oh, I'm just going to do a body scan. I'm trying to get healthier. And my doctor said I need to do this. And I was like, well, hey, do you work out? And she's like, no, I'm just, and I was like, well, let me train you. And I was like, did it for free. And I was like, let me just train you and see what we can do. And in my head, I was like, this will be a great learning moment because I can learn how to train someone who is broken like her in the sense of so she said that she had it was the Trail of Tears. Every year they did a 5K and you ran a portion of the Trail of Tears. And she told me that the year prior, she had walked for 5 minutes and then had to get on the bus and ride it. And she said she cried for like the next 2 or 3 days.
Oh, man.
Because she was considered a native princess. Like her mom was like a native princess or something like that, a Choctaw.
Okay.
So she was pretty high up in that regard. So it was like very proud for her to be able to walk the Trail of Tears. And she's like, my goal is to be able to walk that 5K without stopping and no help. And I was like, all right, let's do it.
Let's do it for
I
sure.
was like, oh God, like that's a lot on me. But I was like, that's fine. I was like, if I just train her through CrossFit, I believe that I can help her.
Yeah.
So our first goal was for her to get on the floor and get back up, a burpee.
Yeah.
Like she physically could not do that.
Right.
And I was like, what happens if you fall down? And she's like, well, if Don, her husband, she's like, if he's not around, I have to kind of wait for him to come home or find me in the floor to help me up.
Jeez.
And I was like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
And then I was like, so squatting was definitely out of the question. So I was like, all right, well, let's work on our squat. And I remember I was coaching class, and like I would personal train her, and then she'd kind of fade into the class a little bit. And then I remember she was like, Madison, look. And I looked over, and she was sitting in the bottom of a squat, literally.
Man. And
because I had her up against the pole because she was using that for balance. And she was sitting in the bottom with no hands on the pole, looking at me with this huge smile on her face. It was just like this moment of, awesome. I am doing the right thing, of like, you are amazing. You've worked for this. Like, you did so great. All those days of complaining about like my knees hurt or my hips hurt just because age and just different things. And she was able to like get that full range of motion squat. And then the next moment with her was she's like, I'm just going to take class today. It was like another day. And I was like, all right, that's fine. Just kind of follow along. If there's something that we do, you can't do, just figure out, like, I was like, I'll yell you something to do. And I was like, all right, guys, we're going to do, it was like burpees. I was like, all right, let's go 5 burpees. And then I was talking to someone, and I looked over, and I didn't say anything. I just kind of like glanced over at her way to see what she would do. She put her hands down on the ground, put her knees down just like we practiced, laid down, got up to her hands and knees.
Oh, man, that's
got up
awesome.
to one hand and stood up, and then went back down. I said, Carol, do you realize what you just did? And she goes, what? I said, you just got on the ground and got back up.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, I did.
Wow.
And it was like she was just going with the motions and didn't even think about it. And I was like, awesome. And then whenever that 5K came up, she did it. Like me, my old boss, and then her husband walked with her the entire 5K.
That's so cool.
And like, I didn't hold her hand. I didn't do nothing. Like, she didn't have a walker, nothing. She walked the entire 5K. I mean, there was a few times she wanted to quit, and in the sense of like, I don't know if I can do this, we kind of pep talked her and kept her going, because it was out in the middle of nowhere, and it was like dirt roads. So it wasn't like she's walking on paved concrete that's smooth and flat. It was like up and hill, up, down, like all gravel roads. There's potholes everywhere. So she was navigating through that, and she did the whole 5K without stopping.
That's incredible.
It was amazing. Like, it truly felt like this is what I'm supposed to do.
And that's what CrossFit at its roots is.
100%.
That's why it's so good. It's not these ring muscle ups and these handstand walks. It's so that when we are older, we can fall down and get back up. And live a healthier lifestyle. That's all that really matters.
Right. And that's like, I'm in the middle of like trying to help my mom long distance. But yeah, she's in the same way. She's like, I'm afraid of going into a nursing home.
Yeah. And
I'm like, yeah, Mom, like, let's work on this.
Yeah.
I was like, she's like, well, I don't know what to do. And I was like, let's start on the bike. We're going to do 5 minutes. She has like a little exercise bike in her living place that she lives at. And she texted me yesterday that she walked to the end of the street and back and she's like, I felt so good.
Amazing.
I had all my endorphins going. She's like, I didn't have to do a breathing treatment. I didn't have to wear my oxygen mask for a little bit. Like, she's pretty bad health with her lungs. But she was like, I felt so good. And I was like, great, Mom. We'll do that every day for the next week or two. Then we'll up it to where you actually walk to the bike and then walk back, which is a little further. And I was like, that's all you have to do. And it's literally amazing. Like, that's what CrossFit is. Like you said, at its roots is literally pushing off that retirement home or that whatever, it is, like getting on the floor. Can you sit down on the toilet and stand back up?
Yeah.
Because that's a huge thing that a lot of like older people can't do.
Yeah.
When they reach a certain, I'd say, age mentally.
Yeah.
Because like physically, unless, something else is going on, typically they can do stuff like that. But moments like that for me is what, like, I remember the little moments about like myself, like with snatches and muscle ups in the corner by myself. Like, you got your double under, and like, I'm sure that you have certain moments in the gym where it's like it's just, I don't know what it is, but seeing someone else accomplish something that they didn't think was possible makes you just, I don't know, for me personally, just makes me want to explode, like in such a positive way.
Definitely. And I this could be a whole different conversation, but in terms of just watching someone's journey, and I'd love to get Brittany in here at some point to talk about Tony. Yeah. I know she's been great about sharing his journey, but just as someone, has watched him progress and sees the changes that he's made. I remember the first time he walked into the gym, I was there, and to see where he's at now is she's literally saved someone's life.
Right.
So,
and it's wild to think because like as a trainer and you know whatever, like that's definitely not a normal thought. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I saved your life.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's not like something like if you grab someone from getting hit by a car, it's like, holy shit, I saved that guy's life or a girl's life, you know? But like in the gym, you don't think about that. But like literally like with Tony, like he came in, he was type 2 diabetic. He literally told Britt, I don't know if she's ever said this, but one of the questions we used to ask whenever people would come in, and we still kind of do on occasion, is we say like, hey, what's your reasoning for coming here? And he said to her, he got real quiet, and he looked down at the floor, and then he looked up at her with like almost tears in his eyes, and he said, I just don't want to die. I'm afraid I'm going to die, and I'm on the way, and I don't want to die.
Jeez.
And she was like, from that moment, she was like, yes, I'm going to trade you. You're here, you know?
Yeah.
And so like he's no longer type 2 diabetic, and he got to where he was able to like jog a mile. He could do different stuff. He's down over 100 pounds. And then he got in that bad wreck.
Right.
And then the doctors told him that he had built up enough strength and stuff in the gym that whenever he was in that wreck, that's why it didn't kill him.
That's amazing.
And they're like, you should be dead for driving off a 30-foot ravine in a full beer truck.
Right.
Like a Bud Light or Budweiser or whatever beer truck.
Yeah.
Like you should be dead.
Yep.
But he wasn't because he had built all that residual strength up. And it's just wild to think, yeah, that was a good moment to bring up there.
And again, it's not, you know, I haven't been with him his entire journey. Just I know still, when we see him, and what we've seen from the outside is enough to know that it's a pretty special moment that, you know, is happening at Ute. So if you're not familiar with Tony, you should check him out. And I think Morning Chalk Up has done a story about him, and well, he's an incredible guy, and we're excited to be watching him.
Yeah, it's fun to have Tony around just because he's such a cool dude. I don't know. There's so many great moments, and then in CrossFit and stuff, and like I wish I would have written way more stuff down.
That's okay. You got one more you want to finish with, individually?
Oh, individually. I'm trying to think. I remember. So my first competition, I told you the story after our first podcast. I didn't tell it on the podcast. It was the one. So it was my very first competition. I had never done one. Obviously, it's my first one. I never planned to do one. I never even told myself I would. I didn't know that anybody ever hosted them. I didn't know anything about it. And my buddy, his name's Dustin Curley, he came up to me and he was like, hey, I got this competition. I had a buddy. He had to drop out. Can you jump in? And I was like, dude, I've never done one. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, just show up. You'll do fine. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. That's fine. So I showed up to this competition, and, you know, we were doing okay. Like these different workouts, like, I remember we did burpees to a plate, and that was like such a big deal. Like I had never done it, and I was like, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah,
you know,
I'd rather do that.
Oh, yes, now I know. I'm like, give me those all day.
Right.
But I was just like, okay, I've never done these, and I remember dying in the burpees, and I remember I can't remember all the workouts that we did, but the very last one that we did, it was a cool workout, and I wouldn't mind doing it again just to see how like it is today versus back then. Obviously, it'll be way different. But the workout was, I can't remember every single thing, but it was, I think we were teams of 3 or teams of 4. I think it was teams of 3. It was teams of 3. And each person had a 2-minute window to work. The workout started with Randy, 75 snatches at 75 pounds. Yep. Then it went to like 3 rounds of X amount of box jumps. I think it was like 15 box jumps, 15 pull-ups, and like 15 something else, and then 15 something else. Something I don't remember. Then once you finished those 3 rounds, you went into 75 snatches again. So it opened and closed with Randy. But you only had 2 minutes to work.
Okay.
So you just basically chipped away at that as far as you could, and then your partner would have the next 2 minutes
They'd have to
chip away. Right. And I remember it was we were in the warm-up area and we're snatching. I mean, it's just 75 pounds. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, now I'm like, okay, just muscle snatch that.
Yeah.
But then it was not the case. It was like 115, I think, was my 1-rep snatch.
Yeah.
So it was like, that was pretty heavy, but I could do it in the sense of like I could do a lot of reps at it. But I remember we were over in the warm-up area kind of just messing around, and one of our guys on the team had never done a snatch ever.
Right.
He had never even attempted, never even heard of it before. It was just another buddy of Dustin's that he had pulled in. And we were trying to go over it with the empty bar, and we loaded 75. Dude literally couldn't do one. could not physically do one snatch. Right. And I remember before we started, Curly, he would, God bless his soul, he would just randomly, he would do things like, hey, we would do like, say the workout Fran or Diane, something short.
Yep.
And he'd go, hey, I have the perfect song. We have to finish this workout before the end of this song.
Okay.
And it'd be like a 2.5 minute song.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 minutes. Never would. 3 songs later, he would finish. It was that way every time. But he would always do it for years. 3 years, dude would do this all the time. So right before we started this workout, I was like, how do you guys want to game plan this? How many snatches do you think you get? And he's like, I'll just finish it. I was like, oh, you think you're going to do all 75 in the 2 minutes?
Okay.
And then my old boss at the time, he had been doing CrossFit for a couple of years, and so he was there kind of coaching us and helping us. And he's like, Curly, no. People don't do that Randy in less than 2 minutes. And he's like, no, I'll just do it. So I think he got 30.
Yeah.
Nowhere
Close.
near. Yeah. Right there at the end. But I remember we were going through it. And I remember the guy that couldn't do snatches was hammering these box jumps. I mean, flying through them. It was like, dude was flying. I think it had burpees, pull-ups. I don't remember. It had all these different things. And then I was the next in line for the 2-minute window. And I think it was Curly had done as many snatches as he could. And I think he had gotten to like 25, maybe 30. I don't remember. It was a super lower number compared to 75.
Right.
And I just remember I was about to step up to the bar, maybe had like 15 seconds, and the guy stepped up to me and he goes, dude, you have to finish these.
Does your rest of your workout not matter if you don't get Randy?
No. It was just for time.
Gotcha.
He was you have to finish
like a
these.
workout within another workout.
Like the whole thing was for time.
Gotcha.
And he was like, you have to finish these because I physically cannot do one.
I got it.
And he goes, so basically, if I wouldn't have finished the 275 snatches, it would have been a 2-minute break because he couldn't do any, and then the next person would have had to have finished it. So that would have tacked on that much more time.
Right.
And he goes, for us to place well, you have to finish these because I physically cannot do one.
Oh, no.
And I think I had to do like 35 or 40 snatches, and at the time it was not that was not like okay, I'll just do that.
Yeah.
And I remember this is where the term for my friends back home would say, put on your helmet and run head first into the wall.
Right.
And they were going to make me a shirt that said, put on your helmet or whatever, because like how we do snatches now where we don't bend our knees at all. That's where I started that.
Yeah.
And it was all back, like literally Halloween cat
bend
back, touch the ground, stand up, muscle snatched all of them. Didn't do any technique at all. Literally just repped them out.
Get it overhead.
Just got it overhead. And I finished with like maybe like 2-3 seconds to spare. And as soon as I finished, I just collapsed and hit the ground because my back no longer worked.
Yeah, exactly.
But I remember that moment because him walking up to me going, dude, you have to finish this. If you don't finish this, we don't place.
Oh, no.
I physically can't do one snatch.
Yep.
I was like, oh, no.
Well,
here we go. Thanks for giving me the heads up a few seconds before I go.
Yeah.
But no, I think that was probably one of the coolest competition moments that I've had in the sense of time to step up to the plate because you have to get it done.
Right.
But that was a cool moment to kind of wrap it up and end it on there. Do you have one that you want to?
I think one of my favorite open moments, another one of my favorite open moments was last open. So I guess it would have been 2019 or it was fall of 2020 that they called the 2020 open, but it was in 2019. Remember the one they did in October?
Yeah.
And it was the workout that had box jumps and clean and jerk, and then after like 2 rounds of that, it went to pistols in clean and jerk, and the weight went up.
Yeah,
and it was like that kind of sneaky thing where they said you could actually step up onto the box instead of jump.
Oh,
do you remember that?
Yeah.
And a lot of people missed that, and I was like, oh well, shit, I'm gonna step up. Right? Like it didn't seem like it on surface. Like I'm not gonna step up.
Oh, it makes such a huge difference.
I'm gonna step up. It was great, and I had never done a pistol. So this was not all that long ago, and I still suck at pistols. But I remember I was at home in Ohio, in my mom's basement. They have like a little exercise room, and I'm like down there trying to learn a pistol before I go to my home gym. They're like, I have to learn a pistol. Like I'm not gonna miss out on the heavy clean and jerk because I can't squat on one leg.
Right.
So I'm like, this is what I can do, and it's not right. I'm on my toe, but it counts as a rep. So figured out enough through that night to then go to the gym the next day and got, I think through the 275-pound bar of clean and jerk, which is like great. Like I'm psyched with that. And I think the next one was like 315. I'm like, I'm not going to get that anyway. So getting through that and then getting some other pistols at a gym that's not like my home gym was really kind of a cool moment.
That's cool because they kind of look at you like, oh, wow.
Look at this big goon.
Look at this guy doing pistols on his toes like a fairy.
Right.
But no, that's awesome. No, and all these moments and stuff like that we talked about because we want you guys to tell us your favorite ones so we can kind of talk about them. Because, eventually I'd love to start interviewing people.
Yeah, absolutely. All of this is because we want to get to know you guys better. So here's a little insight on us and some of the things we've gone through on our journey, but we're anxious to hear about yours.
Yep. So if you guys have any moments, comment on the YouTubes, text us, email us. You can email me at madison@utecrossfit.com. You can email Lambert at...
You could do, let's see...
about your mini
all of
emails.
mine kind of suck. I don't want to give you my work one. You could do LJ Budzinski BUDZINSKI @gmail.com.
That'll work. Yep. So. And just send us your favorite ones. We'll read them and talk about them because maybe we were involved, maybe we weren't.
Yep.
And then
keep the feedback coming, guys. Definitely keep the feedback. It means a lot to Madison and I when you send us a message or let us know that you've listened to it and you're enjoying it or maybe you're not enjoying it. But we want to hear it all.
Yeah. All right, guys. See you next time.
Take care.